It ain't stopped raining in Yonks. Weren't the Blues good yesterday? Soz, yow must be a Wolves man. I'd kill for a kip of tea. Boston carrier bags these. Tarara bit cocker, see yow tomorrow. It seems that while war may be 90% waiting around, retail is 90% mindless small talk. And despite what the term may imply, there is nothing minor about the long-term effects. If you spend your waking hours talking to people who get their news from Daily Star and TalkSport, pass most of your day discussing nothing more substantial than the weather and the price of things, which, let's face it, is all customers over a certain age want to talk about, you slowly begin to feel like you don't exist. Your local Asian shopkeeper will, whether he wants to or not, work out so much about you, which way you vote from your newspaper, whether you might get lucky tonight from those emergency condoms, but I bet you can relate nothing of his biography in return. At least nothing beyond the eye-rolling cliches of a man arriving in Britain with just £5 in his pocket, who sets up shop to avoid the racial prejudice of the job market, and builds a business through an Asian predilection for family slave labour and tax avoidance. One of the most onerous things about my father's passing was that when the local newspaper he sold and delivered for nearly 5 decades devoted some column inches to his death, it couldn't come up with much beyond hard-working immigrant and self-made. Everyone on the Victoria Road in Blakenfield seemed to have a tale about their newsagent, claimed the journalist, before singularly failing to produce any tales whatsoever. He could have been anyone, or no one. And that's the thing. If you're Asian and happen to run a shop, you are anyone or no one. There are few more stereotypical things you can do as an Asian man, few more profound ways of wiping out your character and individuality, short of becoming a doctor, that is, or fixing computers for a living, or writing a book about arranged marriages. I struggle with these generalizations. On the one hand, they clearly apply to lots of Asians, and they are a useful way of highlighting broad truths. But on the other, they are reductive and sappers of any hope of personality or individuality. To stand behind the counter of a shop as an Indian man is to face a barrage of expectations and assumptions, with people assuming you are richer than you are, bet you'll be a millionaire soon, more ambitious than you are. The plural is misleading. There has never been more than one Bain Stores. Or cleverer than you are. Guess should be a doctor back home. It goes the other way too, of course. To some of my customers, sometimes those on benefits, I am a parasite, somehow sapping British resources and bleeding the public dry. To others, often Indian ones, I'm a physical illustration to their children of what will happen if they don't work hard enough at school. You want to end up like that. Then there are the ones for whom I am a raghead who wants to impose Sharia law on Britain, and who, in his spare time, grooms white girls for exploitation. The sexual predator thing is a recent development, and I didn't, at first, make a connection between the insults occasionally hurled in my direction and the headlines passing over my counter. After all, the gangs reportedly grooming young white girls are based in the north, and I am in the West Midlands. Most of the offenders are Pakistani, and I am of Punjabi Indian heritage. And while some of the perpetrators run takeaway and taxi firms, I run a newsagent. To be honest, I barely blinked the first time I was called a dirty, packy pervert. If memory serves, by a teenager who had just tried to buy a pornographic magazine. You get used to being called all sorts of things in this business, and one tends not to dwell on the semi-coherent rantings of people so dim that they are seemingly unaware of the existence of the internet, which offers mountains of free porn. Moreover, it's difficult to tally shop life with sex, in any way whatsoever. There are certain places that bristle with sexual tension. Libraries, tube carriages on hot days. But your Asian corner shop, reserved for the purchase of emergency milk and